I was convicted of felony and misdemeanor charges for rescuing 4 abused chickens from Purdue's Petaluma poultry slaughterhouse and getting them care.
I'm facing up to 10 years in prison for rescuing beagles from a beagle breeding facility for animal testing.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Changemakers podcast. Today's episode features two powerful activists, Zoe Rosenberg, who is an animal rescuer and cruelty investigator with Direct Action Everywhere, and Rose Patterson, who is the co-director of Animal Rising. Now, we've recorded this conversation just days before Zoe's sentence hearing in the US and right as Rose begins trial season in the UK. Now, in this episode, Zoe shares a story behind her investigation into Purdue's Petaluma Poultry, from uncovering birds being boiled alive to rescuing 4 chickens who were suffering in farms. And now for helping these animals, she has now been convicted and could face up to 4.5 years in prison. Now, Rose, she shares a story of the open rescues at MBR Acres, where she and other activists carried beagle puppies out of one of the UK's most secretive animal testing suppliers. Now, these actions sparked global tension, but also left her facing burglary charges and a potential 10-year sentence. So we talk about what happened inside these facilities, how these animals are treated, the emotional weight of rescue, and how legal cases like these can push forward the fight for animal rights, from right-to-rescue arguments to shifting public perception. You can support both Zoe and Rose by visiting the links in the description of this episode. So yeah, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Zoe Rosenberg and Rose Patterson. Could you guys both, whoever wants to start, give a short introduction about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Zoe. I'm an animal rescuer and animal cruelty investigator with the grassroots animal rights network, Direct Action Everywhere, and the founder of Happy and Animal Sanctuary. And I was recently convicted on felony and misdemeanor charges for rescuing 4 chickens from Purdue's Petaluma poultry slaughterhouse. And I'm about to have a sentencing hearing where I face a maximum sentence of 4.5 years in jail.
Yeah, we're so close already. It's in a couple of days.
Yes.
It's crazy. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. Rose, please.
Hey, yes, I'm Rose, and I'm with Animal Rising, so I'm a co-director of Animal Rising. I've been with the organization for almost 6 years now, doing all sorts of direct action and currently trying to end factory farming, among lots of other things. And yeah, I'm about to go on trial for rescuing beagle puppies from MBR Acres, which is a beagle breeding facility for animal testing, and facing up to 10 years in prison for rescuing those puppies.
Yeah. Well, you guys are both amazing, brave activists. You forgot to include that in your introduction. Really, really amazing. Yeah, so let's talk all about animal rescue and what you guys have done. I mean, you kind of just mentioned it already, but could you share a little bit more of the story of, since you're both facing prosecution for rescuing animals, can you share about your rescue and what you're being charged with? Even though you kind of already said it, but let's just do another round.
Yeah, so throughout the spring of 2023, I was involved in a company-wide investigation of Petaluma Poultry, which is the California subsidiary of the agribusiness giant Purdue Foods. And we found routine violations of California's animal welfare laws at their facilities, including evidence of birds being boiled alive due to negligence at the slaughterhouse. And the authorities were not doing anything. After many years, in fact, of actually reporting this company, they had never done anything to help these animals. So I rescued 4 chickens from the slaughterhouse, Poppy, Ivy, Aster, and Azalea, in June of 2023, and got them care and shared their stories. And months later, I was arrested on 7 felonies and 6 misdemeanors and put on an ankle monitor to remain out of custody, which I have been wearing for the past 2 years. The charges were reduced prior to trial because the judge ruled I'd been overcharged. So I went on trial and was convicted on 1 felony and 3 misdemeanors. It was felony conspiracy and 2 counts of misdemeanor trespass and misdemeanor tampering with a vehicle, which was just because I opened cages on the back of a transport truck where the chickens were. And I was also so the jury was also asked to find true or not true an aggravating factor, which is used at sentencing to argue for harsher punishment. So I was also the jury found this aggravating factor to be true. So that will hurt my chances at sentencing on Wednesday. And, I could face anything from a few months of probation to, again, 4.5 years in jail. And we don't know what's going to happen.
Crazy. And you rescued these chickens and they're all now safe and happy, and that's because of you. And this is the way that society has reacted. It's really insane. Thank you for rescuing them. Thank you for your brave actions. Rose, if you can go as well and share what's happening with you. And
Sure. And yeah, just like, thank you, Zoe, as well for what you did. And oh my God, yeah, I'll be watching on Wednesday. But yeah,
all of us,
yeah,
the world is
I think
watching on Wednesday.
definitely, yeah, it's like a huge moment for the animal rights movement. And yeah, similar to Zoe, like yeah, we wanted to take like our rescue to trial, and back in it was 2022, so this is like 3 years ago. We'd known about MBR Acres for a long time. As in the UK, it's kind of a symbol of, in the animal rights movement, it's like this place where everyone knows it's this hellhole where dogs are bred in these concrete cages, like dirty, filthy places. But I think anyone that looks at these cages knows that this is not appropriate housing for dogs. It's not a nice way for them to be living. And then, of course, what happens to them afterwards is even worse. They're getting tested on for toxicology tests, mostly for like household products. At the actual facility itself, dogs are also bled out, and their blood is used for like experiments and science as well. But yeah, I don't think any of that can justify the cruelty to those animals. And yeah, so no one had managed to get inside MBR since, I believe, like around the 90s or the 2000s, and rescue any beagles. And Camp Beagle, who have been camping outside there for years now, are also highlighting, they brought a lot of attention to MBR and the fact that this place needs shutting down. So we decided to, yeah, go in. This is like the 20th of December. It was freezing. We were like falling in like water in like these like ditches and stuff. It was kind of a bit of a mission just to get inside, getting through fences and things. And then, yeah, when we actually got inside, I like really, really remember like when we first entered the shed, and like all the smell and the sounds, and then the sight of all these puppies. They were super excited that it was like humans coming in the middle of the night. I guess it wasn't normal for them. But yeah, the smell just like really hit me. And then, yeah, the sight of like rows and rows, it was like hundreds of puppies in these concrete cages. And then it was like, okay, go, go, go. And we just, yeah, we're climbing into the cages, people passing the beagles over. We were running through fields with them. And yeah, it was, yeah, the whole thing was a bit of a blur and very, very chaotic. And I was unfortunately caught by police as I was running across the fields. It was like two of the other rescuers ran one way because we had the police right behind us at this point, because we'd been going for quite a while. And yeah, two people ran the other way. I ran one way. And unfortunately, the police got hold of me and took the puppy that we now called Love. And yeah, that was just horrible as well. So in the end, the police took two beagles, Love and Libby, and then there was public outcry to release those beagles to loving homes. And in the end, they returned them back to MBR Acres, unfortunately. But we know that the public and celebrities as well are on our side. And yeah, there were loads of people just like calling for those beagles to be released. And so now there's actually a total of 20 of us going on trial. And we rescued, there was 2 rescues that year, actually. I was involved in the second rescue where we rescued 18 beagles. The first rescue where 3 people rescued 5 beagles. It's all a little bit complicated. There was 2 rescues, lots of beagles saved. And now there are multiple trials because there are so many people on trial. So there's 20 of us. So the first trial started today on the 1st of December. And they're going all the way through to March. So mine's actually in February. So yeah, we're split into 5 different trial groups.
Yeah. I have 2 different questions about it. One is like the animal related, and one is about the actual, like, I'll just ask this one, like, what change do you both hope will come from going through this prosecution, and what do you hope that people will understand after hearing stories about chickens, about beagle testing? What was kind of, yeah, what change are you hoping that this will help create?
Yeah, I'm sure the legal side of things is a bit different here versus in the UK. in the United States, at least, through court cases, there is an opportunity to create changes in the law. So, if a judge on appeal, and obviously in my case, I've been convicted, but we're going to be appealing my conviction. And if on appeal, an appellate court says that the necessity defense in the state of California applies to non-human animals, then that would create a really important legal precedent for the right to rescue animals from these types of situations, and also for animal personhood, because the way that the necessity defense is worded in the state of California is that it says you're acting to prevent a greater evil towards someone. And so if a judge says, well, animals are someone, then that would be challenging their current status as property and things that is often given to them. So there's that legal side of things. And then there's also, of course, the court of public opinion. And I think these cases have been really important opportunities to challenge the way that people view not just animals, but specifically animals who are used in these industries, and put a face to these individuals who are exploited by these industries. I think too often, like, we think about animals in factory farms or animal testing labs or whatever it is in this very abstract way, and we're very disconnected from them. And through these rescues, we're allowing people to get to know these animals and see who they are and understand why it's so important that we fight for them, because every single one of these animals is someone who deserves to be rescued, and they're not being rescued. They're being left to languish and suffer, and that's completely unacceptable. And through, I mean, my trial, even though we lost, we've been able to get so much attention on this issue, which I'm so grateful for. We've had hundreds of articles written, press. We've been able to reach about 250 million people on social media with the story of this case. We've gotten statements from celebrities, including Paris Hilton and Joaquin Phoenix, and just seeing people coming together behind the stories of a few chickens, I think is just so inspiring to see, and makes me feel really encouraged that we're going to be able to use this to create a lot of change.
That's amazing. And it's so true, because you're showing that, like, rescuing an animal, like, isn't a crime. It's crazy to even think of that as a crime. Like, the crime should be what's being done to animals. So you're bringing that to light, which is really, really amazing. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I think very similarly to Zoe, with our trials, less so on trying to shift things legally. Although because this is the first ever UK open rescue trial, it's possible it could set a precedent for future open rescues. And yeah, the key thing for us, as well as obviously saving the dogs' lives, is to generate attention, like draw attention to these problems. Like most people, so many people I'm seeing in comments on our social media posts about this and the emails that we're getting, so many people have no idea that this is even happening in the UK. A lot of people think that animal testing is banned because cosmetics testing is banned. Or people know that animal testing is happening, but don't think it's happening to dogs. And of course, because they're dogs, we're getting a lot of support as well from the public, naturally, because people can relate more to dogs. They have dogs living in their homes with them. And so we also hope that we can bring people from like their love of dogs through to other animals as well. So we're talking about, we also campaign against factory farming, and I'm also on trial for rescuing lambs from King Charles's estate next year. But so yeah, it's like, how do we bring people from puppies to care about other animals as well? But yeah, we're also creating like a media storm around this, similar to what Zoe's doing as well. And getting celebrity support, seeing that so many journalists are interested in this trial as well is something, like I said, it's the first time in the UK. So it's quite a unique story. And I think these stories really, really inspire people. When people see individuals really willing to take risks and sacrifice their freedom for something, they're like, okay, well, I think that's quite inspiring to a lot of people. And it also makes people think like, maybe this is something really serious. Like, why are chickens getting sorted? Why are dogs being tested on? And yeah, I know for me that I probably wouldn't be here if I hadn't been inspired by seeing people taking risks and sacrifice. And I think that is just like so powerful, the movement. And those are the stories that people remember.
Beautifully said, both of you guys. Like a little bit about like the animals, so kind of relating the dogs and the chickens, something alongside of like how the situation was for both of them. For the chickens, like what made you reach out and save them? Maybe you can talk about the state that they were in, because I know for Zoe, the chickens were obviously suffering. And for you, the beagles, like that what you mentioned already about how that's not an ideal place for them. Like what kind of inspired you to be like, okay, now I gotta take them out and take them out of this horrible place, and then can talk a little bit about the animals themselves, something like that.
I first learned really about Purdue's Petaluma Poultry actually back in 2018, when there was a open rescue at McCoy's Poultry Services, which was one of their factory farms at the time. And actually, we had a similar situation to what happened in the UK, where the dogs were seized and returned to the company. When that rescue happened at McCoy's Poultry Services, the sheriff's department came and stopped people from leaving with the birds, and 9 of the 10 birds were seized by law enforcement and killed. Only one bird was allowed to leave, and that was Rose. They said, one of the officers said the sickest chicken could go. She could go get the medical care she needed. And so they, maybe it was like a de-escalation tactic. We're not exactly sure why they decided to let Rose go, but she was allowed to come to me at my animal sanctuary, where I cared for her for the remainder of her life. And it was something that impacted me a lot, having seen what happened during that rescue and getting to know Rose and see all of the evidence on her body of how much she had suffered and how abused she had been at this facility. And she didn't end up living very long. She lived a little over a year, and she just never really was healthy. She had a lot of health issues. She never regained the ability to walk fully. And I really spent like a few years just feeling like I really wanted to do something more um, for the animals at this company, um, who were facing similar situations to what Rose went through. And in spring of 2023, I ended up having an opportunity to get involved in an additional investigation of the company. And through that, we uncovered even more evidence of animal cruelty, very similar to what Rose had experienced and other animals at that facility had experienced. And I rescued 2 chickens actually from one of their factory farms that spring, Vincent and Petunia. I was not charged for that rescue, but they were both in really critical condition. The veterinarians weren't sure either of them were going to survive, and they did pull through. And I really wanted the authorities to do something, and obviously they have the resources to help all of these animals, but they didn't. Yet again, they ignored or dismissed my reports, and so that's why I really felt like I had to, that June, do something myself to help these birds. And the 4 chickens I did end up rescuing, they were covered in scratches and bruises and small wounds. Poppy had a respiratory infection. She was really struggling to breathe. Aster and Azalea both had infected feet that were swollen and full of pus. All 4 birds had coccidia parasites. They were covered in feces, covered in filth, and it was just clear that they had spent their entire lives living in filth and just experiencing an immense amount of suffering. And even with everything that I'm facing now, and all of these consequences, I'm just, more than anything, I'm so grateful that they're alive today, that they were able to get the care that they needed.
Well, you took such good care of them as well.
Yeah, it's so sad hearing about the state of those chickens as well. It's so unfair. And on what inspired me for going and rescuing the beagles. Well, I think it started when I was a child, because this action actually meant a lot to me personally. Because my hometown, Harrogate in North Yorkshire, in the UK, there's an animal testing lab which is still there today, and beagles from MBR are still taken there today. And when I was really young, I don't know how old I was, but I remember seeing stickers. I'm pretty sure they were PETA stickers. Someone had stuck stickers around my hometown of animals being tested on, like quite graphic images. And I had cats at home, and there were images of cats being tested on and monkeys and dogs, and this like really, really got to me. And that it was actually animal testing was the first thing that I started boycotting. So I started boycotting animal products that were tested on animals from a young age, and just I remember doing presentations at school about animal testing as well. And then back in 2022, had the opportunity to do. We decided to go and occupy MBR Acres before we actually did the rescues, and we managed to just get over the fence onto the property, and we were able to walk around pretty freely and see the beagles for the first time. Like that was the first time I saw them with my own eyes through these like little vents and windows. And there were a lot of them, the puppies were quite excited and things. But I remember this, it must have been, I think she was a mother because she looked older, but she looked totally defeated as well. She was sitting in the corner of one of the cages, and it was like, again, these like concrete cages. And she wasn't excited or coming to try and get to us we were sticking our fingers through and they were licking our fingers and things, but she was like at the back in the corner, looking like just so sad and defeated. And she's clearly been there purely to be bred over and over again, and all of her puppies being taken away. And that like really stuck with me that day as well. But so I think it's like I've been on quite a journey since quite a young age of fighting animal testing, and then just seeing those dogs with my own eyes, and then going back 6 months later. It was exactly 6 months later, went back and entered the site and rescued those dogs. So I think for me it's just been something I just felt like it's just so clearly wrong. We have even if whether or not you agree that we should test on animals for like moral reasons or ethical reasons, we have the alternatives nowadays as well. And so there's just really no excuse. And so that was my journey, I guess, into MBR.
And then, like, given that what you both have, like, you're doing this because you recognize the animal suffering, and obviously this is the right thing to do to rescue these animals, how does it then feel to be prosecuted for rescuing animals for saving animals from suffering? That whole, contrast and stuff.
Yeah, it's a disturbing situation, just knowing like that the government is putting so many resources into these prosecutions and completely ignoring the crisis that these animals are experiencing every moment of their lives. I mean, they probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my prosecution. And they won't even investigate the animal cruelty at these facilities. They won't even look into whether or not what we are alleging is credible, whether it's happening. It's easier to try to silence us, to try to prosecute us, than it is to deal with this massive problem that these industries are creating for these animals. And I mean, the day after my verdict, I remember just feeling like, I don't know, like just so sad and outraged for these animals, because right after they had read the verdict, the prosecutor started reading his whole pre-written speech about how I'm a threat to the public, that, it would be in the public's interest for me to go into custody. And he just kept talking about public safety like I'm some, villain. And as I was sitting there, it was just like really hitting me but like they don't care even a tiny bit about the safety of these chickens who are being completely brutalized and going through unimaginable pain. They just completely don't care. And it's just devastating that is the way our system currently is. And but I think seeing the public response to this, like a lot of people really share that sentiment, and I think we'll be able to change that, but it's obviously going to take time.
Yeah, for sure. And you, Rose?
Yeah, I think personally I'm feeling, honestly, I'm like quite excited about going on trial. Like from the beginning, because we knew there was a good chance they would just drop the charges, because after the first rescue, they actually dropped the charges. Then after we did it, they charged us and then recharged the first trial group or first rescue group. And so we knew there was a good chance that could happen again. Although, I'm feeling very positive that we're going on trial. It was part of the plan, was to get animal testing on trial. We want to be seen by 12 members of a jury 12 random members of the public for them to decide whether this is legal or not. And honestly, I have quite a lot of faith that they will find that what we did was right. Like I 100% believe that what I did was legal. And we'll see what whether those jury members will agree with us. But yeah, so I'm feeling optimistic, and I think there's a really good opportunity for the animal movement in the UK, but also globally as well, and to draw more attention to animal testing, and potentially even see MBR Acres shut down. Like I think that that's going to happen in the near future as well.
Yeah, the world is supporting both of you, and it's you're on the good side, the right side of history. So it's amazing. Yeah, you rescue these animals from a lifetime of suffering. So really, really amazing. And I just hope that now the deciding that the sentence will be like almost like nothing, hopefully, and that you are found not guilty as well, Rose, and that we can see a world where all these animals are rescued from these farms, the ones who we didn't get to be safe during your open rescues. Thank you both for sharing this. I really, really hope all of this goes well, because you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning into the Changemakers podcast. My name is Farah Amber, and I hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you did, it would really mean the world to me if you could rate the podcast, and also remember to follow the podcast to stay updated on new episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.